What's going on, guys? I wanted to talk to you guys today about standing your ground. A story that really kind of hits home to me from the Bible is actually about a guy named Stephen. And so Stephen was actually one of the first sort of designated leaders of the church after Jesus had left. He is not talked about for very long. It's literally a chapter, and then he unfortunately dies. But the cool thing about him is that he did some pretty profound stuff in just this sort of short window. Unfortunately, the Jewish leaders or the religious leaders of the time were not happy with him and actually brought him in on charges, trumped up charges, because they claimed, and it even says in scripture, that they got people to say that he was being blasphemous or he was saying things against God. When they brought him forward, you imagine they brought him into this courtroom. He went before these guys and he just went on this huge rant, but not even a rant, this huge powerful speech. And he quoted scripture and he talked about Moses and Abraham who came before him and all these cool things that they had done and how God had instilled in them a conviction to do these amazing things. And in spite of all the people telling them no, and you're wrong, and this isn't the way things are supposed to do, and who are you to be a leader, and all this stuff, they stood by what God told them. And Stephen uses these great stories to drive home to these leaders that they are just missing the point so much. So when Stephen kind of wraps up this sort of monologue, he kind of does two really cool things at the end. First, he talks about the temple, that God no longer dwells there, that it's virtually meaningless. Not to say that building and how important a church is and a place to meet together, but that the real importance is that people are meeting together. Rather than focused on this building, this place. It doesn't carry the same weight as it did in the past. The second part of that is he basically called them stiff-necked or stubborn, that they were just so missing the mark on what was important about their faith. So not only did he call them stubborn and foolish, he called them uncircumcised of heart and ears, which is kind of a weird term because circumcision has to do with, cutting off a bit of skin. He was talking about in their hearts and in their ears or in their minds, they were completely, they just weren't following the commitment they had made. The circumcision is about a commitment, a promise that they've made, or a covenant with God. And they weren't living that out anymore. And he challenged them on that in front of all these leaders who had his life in their hands and told them what they were doing was wrong and was against God. And so unfortunately for Stephen, he was unfortunately dragged out of the town and stoned. Kind of terrible, but at the same time, he showed what it meant to really stand to your convictions, to stand your ground in spite of opposition. And something cool that's in scriptures, it doesn't actually say he died, it says he went to sleep. And it's this idea that he left on God's terms, on his terms, not on their terms. Today I challenge you guys, and I challenge myself, what convictions, what things do you have in your life that you can stand your ground for? We all have things, whether we believe, whether we have faith or not. There are things in our lives that we are tempted to hide, to put away, and I just challenge you to look, to reflect, and to do better, because we can. So what can you stand for?